In this lesson, we'll cover air terminals and mechanical equipment. So when you start to lay out your mechanical system, in this case an HVAC system, you'll first want to check or verify your mechanical system settings. Once you have those settings verified or modified to your given project or company standard, you'll next want to start laying out your components for your system. Generally, you'll add in those components first that make up the main part of the system, such as variable air volume terminals or VAV terminals, or a heat pump, or an AC unit. So any of these main components you'll typically want to add, and usually these will be level hosted families, meaning they'll be bound to a level for the floor at which you're adding these. Being that they're bound to that level, you'll want to also assign an offset value so they sit at a specific height above that level. For example, if we were talking millimeters, maybe about 2,800 millimeters above the level it's associated to. Inches and feet, it would be about 9 feet. And that's kind of what we see in our example here on our screen. We have an air handling unit in yellow, and then we have our main trunk in blue of our ductwork for our HVAC system. And then at the ends of each duct run, you actually have an air terminal or diffuser. For this lesson here, we're going to strictly stick to air terminals and mechanical equipment. Let's look at placing those elements, and we'll start with the mechanical equipment first. To do that, let's go to the Systems tab on your ribbon, and then in the mechanical area, select the Mechanical Equipment button. This will then display in the Properties area all of the mechanical equipment components that are currently loaded within your Revit system. Now, the one we're going to use in this example will be the horizontal high efficiency 7 to 18 kilowatt left return right discharge heat pump. And we'll choose the 11 kilowatt model. Now, when you do that, it's going to ask you to place this on your screen, and you move your mouse around, you'll see it within the crop window. Now, keep in mind, this view we're looking at is cropped on the right, the left, the top, and the bottom. So you'll want to move inside of the walled area to actually see this. Now, don't click yet, because there's a few things that I want to point out. One is, in the Properties box, the constraint level. I see it's bound to level 1, which means it's hosted to level 1. Make a note of that. Whatever level or whatever host you host one of these components to, it has to stay with that type of host. Meaning, I can't change this from being hosted on a level to hosted on a wall. Also, it's specific to the type of equipment or component. Secondly is the offset value. Right now it's 0, which means if I place this, it's going to sit right at 0 elevation on level 1. I typically don't want that. So what I want to do is place it at a specific height above that level, in this case level 1. So if I'm using millimeters, about 2,800 millimeters. If I'm using feet, about 9 feet. And then click Apply. That'll make sure that the unit now is at that height above level 1. The last thing I want to point out is if you want to rotate this, you can always use your Rotate tool in the Modify area of the ribbon after the fact, or you can check mark or check the box on the options bar to rotate after placement. That means when you click, you place the element, then Revit will ask you to rotate it. So let's go ahead and place this. And I'm just going to choose an area over here to the left. Doesn't matter where for this example. Just go ahead and click. That'll place the unit. Now, as the unit is placed, since the check mark or rotate is selected, it's going to now ask me to rotate this. And just simply move your mouse 90 degrees one way or the other, and it actually rotates the air handling unit. To quit the actual command, click Modify in the upper left. Now, the orientation should be similar to what you see on my screen, with a small portion or a small protrusion on the bottom of the air handling unit. If you click the unit, you see actual attachment areas where I can link in various other elements, such as my ductwork, plumbing work, and I can see that by symbols and the icons called out around this actual unit. Just go ahead and click off the unit so it's de-emphasized. Now, the second thing we want to place is one of our diffusers. We can either place a supply line or a return line diffuser. And you could do the same thing. We could go to the Systems tab on the ribbon. I can click Air Terminal, And then in the drop down in the properties box, I'll actually see the air terminals that I could use to place. Now the one I want to place in this example is going to be the M Supply diffuser sidewall. It's a 450 by 200. So I can go ahead and click it and then move my mouse out to my window or out to my screen. And I'm going to go ahead and place this actual diffuser somewhere below in my model, the actual first unit that I placed, and then simply click. Now I chose not to rotate this one, and therefore it didn't ask me to rotate it after I placed it. I can continue to place additional diffusers if I want to, but if I'm done, just click Modify. One thing to note, you may be wondering, well, why are certain units yellow? Why are certain units blue, or maybe a magenta color, or green? Well, that has to do with the visibility graphics filter specific to this view. To see that, make sure you're not clicked on anything and the property box on the left reads Floor Plan. Then go down and click Edit to the right of Visibility Graphics. On the Visibility Graphics window, go all the way to the right to the Filter tab. Here's where I can look at the filters, how I currently have them set for mechanical supply, mechanical return, and then back on model category, I have an override applied in yellow for mechanical equipment. Go ahead and click Cancel. So that's what's dictating the colors for what I see in my HVAC system in this model. Now, one of the other methods of placing these different types of diffusers and mechanical equipment components is actually from the library directly itself. In the project browser in the lower left, if you scroll down to the actual family section and then expand families and then scroll down to mechanical equipment underneath families, expand it by clicking the plus, you'll then actually start to see the units and the other elements that we placed. So if I look under mechanical equipment, second one from the bottom in that list, the WSHP horizontal, but make sure it's the left return unit, and you click the plus to the left of it, here are the various sizes. To place one of these, simply choose the one you want to place, and then drag it out to your actual window, and then release the left mouse button, and you're holding it at the mouse now. Now again, you can go up and set the offset, and then you can click to place it. This one I'm not going to place, so I'm just going to click Modify in the upper left to exit the command. So in this lesson, we looked at placing air terminals and mechanical equipment. We talked about placing your main system components first, your mechanical equipment, your VAV terminals, AC units, your HP units. Once those are actually placed, we then went on to place our different types of air terminals, our air diffusers, our air supply grills. We also looked at various colors and why those colors are actually the colors we see on our screen: yellow, blue, magenta. And finally, we looked at an overall layout of actually placing these elements inside of the view.